begins to calculate risks more accurately. Charles Lindbergh. The army taught him to calculate risks more carefully and to curb his thrill-seeking propensities with sober judgment. As a flyer, he began to abhor all vagueness, all imprecision of object or act or plan or utterance. Something within required a disciplined awareness of the world he lived in, and a clear strategy for his operations upon it. J. P. Morgan. In his younger days, Morgan enjoyed gambling in speculative enterprises, an interest he did not pursue in later years. He showed no signs at age 27 of the extraordinary capacity for handling critical business situations which he later developed, but his associates agreed that he thought quickly in an emergency and acted promptly. His aptitudes developed only by degrees. He often went shopping without an advisor and made impetuous purchases, but his percentage of mistakes was very small. Experience was a good teacher. Gilbert. In Gilbert, there was a ceaseless warfare between daring and discretion. His natural bluntness was sharply counteracted by his sense of business. His violent temper was instantly followed by an assuaging charm. P. T. Barnum. He was altogether too shrewd and far-sighted to risk his own money on lotteries, which it might bring, preferring to do everything he could to increase the amount of sales going through his hands and watch the accumulation of the certain 10% which he retained for the service. When all is analyzed and circumstances have clarified, then a decision is made and there are no doubts. President Woodrow Wilson. The president had always been by nature highly conscientious. He was prone to postpone decisions on matters in which he saw a balance of opposing arguments. At times, as Colonel House observed, Wilson could act quickly and decisively. But sometimes there was so much to be said on both sides of an issue that he delayed decision, waiting unhappily for events to make evident where the right lay. The pattern of decision-making, replacing extreme uncertainty with extreme certainty, was characteristic of the man. Alfred Hitchcock. He rushes into nothing, but takes his time to test the ground, audition the people concerned, and come up only when he is good and ready with his answer. But once he has decided, he commits himself completely to his decision. Once he decided, he acted speedily. William Randolph Hearst. He is a man of infinite resourcefulness and usually instantaneous decision. The larger the problem, the more quickly his mind is made up. Mark Twain. When he made up his mind, he acted quickly. Stephen Leacock. He could make up his mind immediately. Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Pierre sees no shades of gray, only black or white. Yasser Arafat. Everything with him was black and white. The contributor is conscious in the if-then machinery of Dasein, and so he develops it most easily. It forms him often, as we have seen, into a decisive contingency planner. However, even in the contributor, this area of the mind is not always developed. The result can be a corrosive indecisiveness. Pablo Picasso. Of course, he did suffer from some disease of the will, which made it impossible for him to make the slightest domestic decision. He would go into all the reasons that there were for taking action or for remaining passive in general, in particular, in this or that hypothetical case, and wound up by saying that, since every action carried within it the seeds of its own degeneration, one was better off, in principle, not to act rather than to act, whenever there was a choice. In the next episode, we'll be discussing Immanuel Kant, who is generally considered to be the founder of modern philosophical thought. I'd like to demonstrate that Immanuel Kant, in his philosophy, is actually describing the structure of the human brain. That concludes episode 18. Thank you for listening.